Hi, welcome back to Heather's Crochet Corner. Thank you for joining me here on my channel. This video we're going to cover a vine product. These here are fairly smaller circles. They're, I won't say made of wood, but they're wood-like, I guess, or like a pressed wood. They're fairly thin, as you can see, but they're pretty sturdy. I mean, I'm putting some pressure on it and it's not really bending easily, so it can hold some weight. It's fairly sturdy. As you, there's a bunch of holes, and what they're for is, as you can see here, you can make a basket. These did come in a circle shape as well as like an oblong sort of shape. So if you wanted to make like a purse, and have this as a bottom of your purse, or even a basket that's kind of like oblong, that would work as well. So there are various sizes and shapes to these if you're at all interested in using these. I'm sure there are other uses you could have for a product like this. This came in a pack of 4, so there's one on the bottom of the basket I made last night, second, and there's 2 more in there. So that's how they come. And so I just basically wanted to show you how I was able to use this bottom and crochet it into a basket. It's fairly simple. I mean, the basket is pretty basic, in all honesty. You could add a handle, like an Easter basket, if you wanted to do that. If you want to make your own little Easter baskets, they'd be great for little decorations around the house or in your store, or if you just have maybe some small kids that don't need a huge Easter basket and you want to add some things to it, like some smaller things, these would be a great size as well. So yeah, let's get started into this. So again, as you can see, there's some holes here. I wanted my spacing between the stitches to be a bit smaller. So usually I use a 5mm for everything. In this case, I happen to use a 4.5mm, but you can trial and error it. You can see what looks best and what works for you and the overall look you're trying to achieve. You do have to keep in mind that not all hook sizes will fit through these holes. So I wanted to make sure that the hook one would fit in and that the yarn I was pulling through wouldn't be a hassle to work with initially. So I found the 4.5 to be fine. You could get a 5mm in there. I don't happen to have that on me. I do have a 5.5 here. 5.5 works fine. I also have a 6 just to demonstrate. A 6 does go in. There's not a whole lot of room between the hook and the actual hole itself, so it might be pretty tight getting the yarn out of there. I think I did try a 6.5, and that was the absolute largest hook size that you could get on, because a 7 just would not even go through. So that's just an FYI. I'm going to use the same yarn as I did in this demonstration as I did here in my little basket, just to keep it easy. So yeah, I'm using 2 strands of 4 weight. So I've got one black and one's like a neon yellow. So yeah, you can see here it's the same yarn. So all I'm doing here is making a slip knot. So just make your slip knot in any way that makes sense to you. I like to leave a long tail because I just find working with shorter tails really hard to weave in. That's just my preference. It's not a right or wrong. It's what makes sense for you. So I'm leaving myself a pretty long tail, making myself a slip knot. Usually I show you guys the frogs in the log method. I make mine differently. So this is just not really a tutorial as a how-to tutorial. It's more like showing you how to use this product tutorial. So I won't spend too much time with the how-to crochet versus just showing you what I've done as a demonstration. So to me, both sides look fine. It doesn't really matter to me which side is the bottom, because in all honesty, you're not really going to see it. So And it doesn't matter which hole you start in. In this case, you can just pick any hole. So I've got my slip knot on my hook. Again, I'm using a 4.5mm. You can play around and adjust which size works best for you based on what you plan on making with this. But for a basket, I wanted it to be a bit more sturdy because it needs to stand up on its own. It doesn't. I don't want it to collapse on itself. So I thought using just one strand wouldn't be as effective. That's why I'm using two together. And for what it's worth, 2 strands of 4 weight is the equivalent to a 5. So if you had a pattern, let's say, that needs a 5 or recommends a 5 weight yarn, which is a chunky yarn, but you don't have it, all you have are 4, you can use 2 strands of 4 together to achieve the thickness of a 5. And while I'm talking about yarn weight, I did want to let you know that I do have some extra chunky, like super chunky. So this is a 6. This is a 6 yarn here. This is a Bernat blanket yarn. This is a 6. You can get a 6 through here, easy peasy, folks. So that would be probably the biggest I would go. I don't know that I would chance it and do 2 of these. I would just maybe leave it to 1, and that should be plenty sturdy enough for you. But back to this. Anyway, yes, back to the slip knot. You can start anywhere on the circle. It doesn't really matter where you start. And you just want to grab your yarn, and it's going to be a little bit tricky to kind of get that hook back through, but see, there it is there. And you're basically going to sort of get your yarn through basically single crocheting in a sense. I probably should have just done a slip stitch, which I think is what I've done here on the bottom. Yeah, that's where I started here. You can tell this is my starting point. I did like a slip stitch, and then I just did I did half doubles. I did a half double crochet around the whole thing. You can use any stitch really, though. You could do a single crochet if that's all you know how to do. You can do a half double crochet if that's all you know how to do. You can even probably try double crochet. I'm not sure how sturdy that would be if you're trying to make a basket that's going to stand up on its own under its own weight, because those stitches aren't super sturdy. They're a bit loose, so it's a bit tricky getting it started. But once you get started, you should be fine. Oh, I think I might have. Doesn't feel right. I'm not sure what's going on there. Let me try that again. That's not working out for me. Tell you what, I made it last night. I didn't have this much difficulty. Pull the tail behind here, just so I don't get confused. Pulled my yarn through, pulling it through. There we go. It's all attached. And I will just continue to probably, make sure you grab both strands. If you're doing it like me, make sure you grab both strands. That's why I tend to use 2 very opposite colors, just so I can easily see if I've got one or both. If I use 2 of the same color, it's not as easy for me to tell. So I'm going to just single crochet. So leave yourself a bit of room. You need some room to work around. So there's my first single crochet. So I'll probably just single crochet initially through each hole before I would change up to my half doubles, or you can just continue to single crochet through each one. It really doesn't matter. I guess it depends on which look you prefer. It's a basket. I honestly at this point don't have a preference. This is just me testing the product and showing you guys in a video what I've done to create this basket. Obviously you can use any color yarn that you wish. You don't have to use my same colors. Because it's not super festive if you're trying to make like an Easter basket or something specific. But that's basically what all of crochet is, in my opinion. It's a matter of preference. There isn't a right or wrong. There isn't a right or wrong in how you hold your hook or how you make your slip knot, or if you even want to, you don't even have to follow a pattern. If you don't want to follow a pattern, you can just wing it. You can just be creative with it and just do your own thing. You don't have to follow a pattern and make something somebody else has made. You can create your own unique items. And there's nobody that's going to tell you that it's right or wrong. No one's going to be counting your stitches and saying, oh, you've should have gone 50 chains and I see you've only gone 45. So I'm going to just keep blabbering on as I continue to put a single crochet in all of the little holes here, which isn't always easy. Just be patient with yourself. And make sure that you pull up a little bit. You don't want it so tight that you can't work into it. So you're going to find that your first round attaching to this wooden board may be a little bit looser than what you would normally crochet, and that's all right because it's all going to work out. It's all going to work out. You can see I'm sort of pushing down my stitches too as I'm finishing them, so they're not so loose. Again, it's a bit looser than I would normally crochet, but it's also using something I normally don't use. But yeah, see, once you get going, once you find a rhythm, and you get that first couple of stitches in, it kind of goes a lot smoother for you. As far as a review for this product, I think it's fine. I think they're perfectly adequate for what the purpose is. And if you're, I guess, super creative and then you see another way to use these, maybe it's not crochet related, by all means. And you know what I mean? If you see it a different purpose for these round pressed wood pieces, by all means. I don't, at the top of my head, I can't think of anything right now, but it was advertised on Amazon Vine as, you know, the bottoms of your baskets or purses, depending on which size and shape that you decided to pick from. Unfortunately, I don't happen to have a tape measure on hand. I don't know if it says on here. It just says Art a Better round basket, Moses basket, woven baskets. So yeah, they love to give you a size, which I'm sure it was listed on the sales page. I don't recall, but for a reference, what I did make happens to be the perfect size to fit your toilet paper roll. So if you wanted to have a fancy decorative toilet paper roll holder for your bathroom, these are the perfect size for that. I just by happenstance made it that tall, and I thought, you know, what could I use for a sense of reference for size? I was like, you know what? I wonder. Sure enough. So you can use it for that, or obviously you can maybe find like you can decorate up a little potted plant, or use it to hold your crochet hooks and scissors or pens and markers or any kind of miscellaneousness that you want to maybe keep organized. Maybe your toiletries, or I guess the list is endless as to what you could contain in your little basket. And again, you can opt to add a handle. I did not, probably just out of sheer laziness. And besides, not all baskets have to have a handle like an Easter basket anyway. I'm just about done here with working in these little circles. By all means, if you want to fast forward, I don't blame you. I probably will stick one in here if I can, just to actually have a legit stitch in there. There we go. At this point, you can, I mean, there really is, I didn't follow a pattern, folks. I'm just winging it as I do with most things. I have followed some patterns occasionally, depending on what I'm making, like with amigurumi. Yeah, follow the pattern. Unless you've done thousands of them and you can just sort of, wing it. I'm not at that point yet. Things like slippers and scarves and blankets, I can wing those. Not a problem. I don't need a pattern to make any of those. So yeah, it's just a basket. So, I mean, I think I did do like a slip stitch to kind of join the round. And I'm pretty sure I did start this off initially, the finished work. I did start it off as a working single crochet, but then I did sort of take it apart about, 3 or 4 rounds in. I frogged it all and decided to go a half double. And I think it's because I found that doing the one chain for a single wasn't quite enough. So I think what I had done was I had done 2 just to make sure I got that height in there. And that's when I decided to go with a half double. But again, you can use any stitch you want, or any combination of stitches. If you want to do like a lemon peel stitch, or any other number of stitches that are combination stitches, by all means, it's your basket, it's your project, you're the creator, do what you want to do. There's no right or wrong in it. But what I did was I just continued to half double crochet. And when I got back to the beginning, which is where your tail is going to be, I just slip stitched and did 2 more chains to get the height of the next row. Oops. And just continued on for as tall as I thought it looked good. So that's basically all I did. I found that these are pretty sturdy. They're strong. Again, classic example of what they could be used for. It's not the only thing they can be used for, but I'm just, again, showing you for just demonstration purposes and to give you a frame of reference as to how big these are, because I don't have the sizing offhand. But you could throw your hooks in there. You can throw your scissors in there. There's multiple uses and ways to store whatever you need to have stored in there. But that's pretty much it. So again, these come in various sizes on Amazon. Not sure if you guys can see the very tiny print. It says Artibetter. It's ARTIBETTER. Artibetter round basket. It says CR. It's probably circle if I had to guess. Moses basket. It says woven baskets. It is a 4-pack. Again, they did come in like the oblong, kind of rounded rectangular-ish shape. So if you wanted to use them as like the bottom of a purse, you could do that, which, I mean, I've made some handbags, but they've all been like the 13 granny square type or some variation of a granny square type. But yeah, I think they're, again, I'm really trying to bend it, and it's not really giving. There's a little tiny bit of a bow, but it feels pretty sturdy, like it's not going to break, like it's going to be able to hold some weight. So I feel pretty confident that these bottoms are sturdy. They're not gonna give under a small amount of pressure. You're going to be able to hold various items. Again, depending on how tall you want your baskets, you could add a handle, like an Easter basket, if you wanted to do that. The fact that you can use 2 strands of 4 weight, you can use 5 weight, you can use 6 weight in these through the holes, and that you can use anything up to like a 6.5 millimeter hook. It gives you a lot of variety in what you can do and how you want to put your basket together. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Like I said, you just keep going around and around for as tall as you want your basket. There's no right or wrong. You just figure out what looks good to you. And you might find that as you start your initial couple of rows, that it kind of wants to like do this. Like it seems smaller, but just get your hands in there and just sort of stretch it out. It's a little bit pliable. I didn't use any sort of stiffening starchy spray. I have seen people mention when they're making baskets, usually with probably like a super chunky or something. They usually make baskets, and because of the weight of the yarn on its own, they probably do require some sort of stiffening adhesive to maintain its shape. I haven't done anything. This is just 2 strands of 4 weight and a half double crochet. Nothing fancy, nothing special, and it holds up just fine. So do with that as you will. Not saying you can't use a spray, I'm just saying you probably don't need to. But I think that's it for the video. Thank you guys for stopping by. I do have another couple ideas for videos coming up. I've got here, I'll give you guys a sneak peek as to the next video. I do have another review that I need to do. I did pick up this little Speen Sun yarn ball winder. I don't typically wind up my yarn when I'm done. I'm an outside puller, and my yarn essentially comes off of spindle, and I basically use it just like this. I don't, the extent of my winding is just the ends of it, where I just wind it up and I set it off to the side. I don't use them. I don't rewind the yarn into balls. I do see the appeal, and I just haven't done it. But in the next video, I'll be busting this out and showing you how to use it, seeing if it's worth it. So yeah, make sure you come on back for that. All right, thank you again. I'll see you in the next video.